Dad? Mom?
I could hear my sister coming in screaming, even before she entered the house. She was just so loud and always acted as if she owned the house, and our parents and everyone related to her.
Dad, I need a new car. My stupid boyfriend parked it in his stupid space, and now it has a scratch on it.
She banged the door shut behind her as she entered. Oh boy, must be one big scratch. I tried to stir up some sarcasm. I knew the scratch must have been nothing even before having to take a look at it. I was so used to my sister and her behavior, such a drama queen.
Okay, sweetie, anything for you. Just let us know which one you want this time.
Wow, I don't even get a video game on my birthday. I told my dad and went back to my room. My sister got everything she ever asked for. It was so unfair. If you think that's too much, wait till the end of the video to find out what happened to me. That will actually blow your mind. My parents were rich, so they could afford to do what my sister asked, and I could have thought they were open-minded about fulfilling their children's desires, but they never did the same for me. They were always only doing what Avery wanted, buying her everything she asked for. She was straight up spoiled, and I don't know why, but my parents were more than okay with that. However, it was not always like that in our lives. When we were kids, our parents treated us equally in every aspect. While it was understandable that she got more things than me because she was older, I didn't feel unimportant, ignored, or left out. But when we started to grow and she was a teenager, things started to change. They were on their knees for her all the time. It was as if she put a spell on them and made them her minions. And that's not just it. What's strange was that it was not only my parents that were spoiling her, there were a lot of other people. For example, her boyfriend Doyle was one of them. He didn't look like a loser appearance-wise. He was tall, his build was muscular, and he was on the school football team. Still, my sister treated him like a loser, and he was okay with that. He used to worship her and spoil her all the time. I mean, I know it's normal for boyfriends to spoil their girlfriends. I would have done the same if I had a girlfriend of my own. But what she did to him was a little over the limit. Avery used to make Doyle walk all the way to our house every morning so that he would drive her to school in her car because her car looked the most expensive. She had made him her private chauffeur. Even on weekends, she made him drive her and her friends around. I'll let you be the judge. Do you think that's the way to treat someone you love? Her friends were the same. I saw it with my own eyes. Once when Avery's friends were over at our place, one was wearing really shiny earrings.
They're diamonds. My dad gifted them to me for my birthday. They're like really beautiful. Why don't you give them to me? They'll suit me better.
I couldn't believe Avery would ask for something so expensive from her friend just like that. However, what blew my mind was what happened next. That friend of Avery's took those earrings off and handed them to her just like that. No questions asked. Let's not even begin talking about the teachers. It was worse with them. They would come and ask her how she would like to be graded. I was very jealous of her, not gonna lie. She was living her best life with everyone around her, spoiling her, but I was not up for treating her like a queen. Ew, even the thought of it yikes me out. I was mad at her too because she treated everyone like her personal wishing well and was so disrespectful. Still, she was after all my older sister, so I would let her do whatever she wanted and minded my own business. But then one day, she demanded something extremely outrageous. You wouldn't believe it if I told you. Let's just say, she skyrocketed way over the limit.
Dad, Mom, I want you to buy me this island.
She pointed at a brochure.
It comes with a house in it, a yacht, and a boat. I'll finally have my own place where I can party all I want.
We'll have to use up all of our savings and even sell the house for this, sweetie.
I thought the day finally came when my dad was going to say no to my sister.
I have no problem with it. I want the island.
Look, I had heard and seen a lot of shocking things in my life, but nothing had prepared me for what my dad said next.
Of course, honey, anything for you. Let me just call our lawyer to arrange for everything.
Yay, I'm gonna go call all my friends.
Avery jumped and went to the other room. Dad, what are you doing? Are you out of your mind? Where are we gonna live if we sell the only house we have? I couldn't sit back and watch. I had to speak up before my spoiled sister brought us to the street to beg.
What are you doing, Avon?
Avery came back into the room and heard me complaining about her to our parents. Her face was red and I could tell she was angry. I'm trying to make them see how stupid they are for spoiling you.
I swear I'm gonna make you regret this. And it starts now.
She turned towards our parents.
Make him leave his room and move to the basement. I can't stand him. Avon, you heard what your sister said? Go on, move your things down to the basement. Cut his pocket money too.
Consider it done, sweetie.
I had to move down to the basement and go on without the money. I had no other choice. It was either that or getting kicked out of the house. She also made sure that I had a hard time at school. Doyle would pick on me every time I passed by the hall. The teachers, too, gave me loads of assignments that kept me buried in books all the time. I was so mad at her. She literally got everything she wanted. She didn't have to make my life miserable like that. But then I realized something. That's exactly what she wants. She wants me to be so mad that I'll be busy and I won't get to find out what she's up to. She took me for a fool, but I was clever enough to see through her plans. And at that moment, I vowed to figure out how my spoiled sister got everything. For that, I kept on pretending to be mad at her and shouted at her at times, which gave her the idea that her plan was working. Secretly, I was following her everywhere she went and keeping tabs on all her activities. After following her for a while regularly, I got kind of bored. She only did boring things like going shopping with her friends, going on dates with Doyle, and going to lame parties. I was fed up and was almost about to give up the idea of following Avery until one night. One late night after completing a ton of assignments, I was about to go to sleep when I thought I heard some noise upstairs. Oh gosh, is it a thief? My heart started to pound. I must be overthinking. It might just be a cat or a raccoon. I had to check out what it was despite the fact that I was scared and shaking like a leaf. I put on a brave face, dialed 911 on my phone and held it close with my thumb near the call button just in case. I slowly started making my way upstairs. I had no idea what was waiting for me upstairs. Could it be a cat, a person, or a ghost? When I finally reached upstairs, I was surprised and puzzled. It was a person indeed, but that person was none other than my sister. She was sneaking out in the middle of the night. So I too quickly put on the shoes that were lying around, canceled my dial, and turned on the camera on my phone and started following her. My gut was telling me that she was up to something for sure this time. It was a chilly night and I was following Avery in my pajamas and my dad's shoes that were too large for me. It was dark, but the street lamps were helping me to capture my sister clearly. After walking for about 20 minutes, Avery entered a shady-looking house in a part of town where very few people lived. The house was spooky, but I had to find out what she was doing, so I went around trying to find a window. I found one at the back of the house from where I could look inside clearly.
I need more of your charm potion.
She was talking to a woman with gray hair. The woman was faced towards my sister, so I couldn't see or record her face.
I've given you too much in the past years. If you use it more and more, there'll be consequences. Don't say that. I can go back to not getting everything I want. Just give it to me.
Avery handed the woman a bundle of cash, and in return, the woman gave her a mysterious-looking bottle. I was focused on recording all the interactions. However, suddenly a cold wind blew my way, because of which I shivered, and the oversized shoes made me stumble at the same time.
Who's there?
Oh no, they heard me. I quickly put the phone in my pocket, ditched the shoes, and ran as if it was for my life. Instantly after reaching the house, I locked myself in my room. So this is how she did it. She gave everyone a charm potion. I started thinking about how to confront her because no one was going to believe me, even with the video, especially my parents. The next morning, as I was about to leave for school, my dad started announcing that he had lost his shoes.
Has anyone seen my shoes? They were just here last night.
I tried acting clueless, but when I looked at Avery, she was already staring at me as if she knew everything. I went to school like usual and spent more time in the computer room so I didn't have to face my sister. After that, I came home earlier than usual and went straight into my dad's home office to make a copy of the video and transfer it to a drive. But right then, Avery showed up.
What are you doing?
I tried to hide the drive behind me, but my hands trembled and it fell to the ground.
It looks like you're up to something. Why don't you give that to me?
I was confused and felt weird because at that time there was nothing more I wanted to do other than hand her the drive.
Oh, so you've gathered some kind of evidence against me, have you? But you didn't expect this, right? Let me enlighten you. The breakfast you ate this morning had my charm potion in it. Now you can't help but do whatever I want.
It was true. A part of me was trying so hard to fight off the charm, but I couldn't help but do what she asked.
Let's have a little fun demonstration. Avon, dance like a monkey for me.
As soon as her words fell on the ground, I started dancing like a monkey in the wild.
I have everything I want in this world because of this potion and my clever brain. Do you think I'll lose to someone pathetic like you?
She made me do some more stupid stuff that made me look like a fool while she laughed like an evil queen. But in less than 30 minutes, someone showed up at our house to save me. It was the police. They instantly arrested Avery for carrying out such a harmful activity and controlling others and making them do things against their will, as if they were puppets. My plan did work. Even before I knew that she had charmed me, I'd sent a copy of the video that I took the other night to the police from the school's computer room. I had also saved multiple copies of the same in the computers there just in case. Before returning home that day from school, I made sure that Avery saw me rush out quickly so that she would follow me home. And as soon as I reached home, I hid my phone in a way that the room would be seen and everything would be heard. And then I started a social media live broadcast. After coming home, Avery did exactly what I had predicted. She boasted about how clever she was and all the things she did. What she didn't know was that she was confessing her crimes on the internet. It turns out, one of my friends recorded the live video and sent it to the police, because of which the police came exactly when I needed them. The police said that my sister's condition suggested she needed treatment, so they transferred her into a psychiatric facility. They also started a nationwide search for the gray-haired woman, as she was the source of the charm potion. As for my parents, they vowed to never forgive my spoiled sister and what she did. And then we moved to the private island that Avery had made our parents buy and started living there. Thanks for watching. Do you have a spoiled sibling? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and check out other videos on the channel.
They say it's the middle child, the one with an older and a younger sibling, that has it the hardest. I'm not so sure about that. In my experience, it's much worse to be the younger sibling of someone who's gifted at every single thing they try. I really do speak from experience. But first, remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel if you want to hear more crazy stories like this one. My sister Angela was cringely referred to as the town's angel. Meanwhile, people asked, "Who?" whenever my name came up. I never hated my sister. I love her very much. It's impossible not to when she's so sweet and social, and when she always knows exactly what to say to cheer me up. In high school, Angela was top of her class. She was also head cheerleader, of course, and president of the math club. In her free time, she volunteered all around town. She was the reason our local animal shelter wasn't forced to shut down. All she had to do was organize a small event there, and people were throwing money at the place like crazy. Who was I in high school, you ask? Nobody. Seriously, I was completely unknown. People were shocked when Angela told them I was her little sister. While Angela distributed flyers for some amazing cause, I kicked rocks in the background. I was very introverted, to the point where I could hardly go to the grocery store alone. Despite me being a failure socially, my sister still tried to help me out. She used to invite me to all sorts of outings with her friends, but both for my sake and theirs, I always said no. Angela noticed that the excuse I used most of the time was hay fever. She was wicked smart, so of course she found a loophole in my no going out thing.
My friends and I are going to the arcade tonight. You want to come?
She asked me one afternoon. I was about to protest when she said,
"And before you say hay fever, remember it's indoors and dark, just like your room."
She batted her eyelashes at me, but she could probably tell I would need some more convincing. "Your friends don't like me," I said.
"You don't have to stick with us if you don't want to,"
she said. I was still reluctant to go with her.
"Please,"
she begged me. "Damn you, Angela," I whispered to my sister as she held my hand, or pulled my hand, while walking towards the arcade.
"You're gonna have a blast, don't worry about it."
She smiled. The second we were inside, I split up from her and her friends. I walked around trying different games. I was kinda having fun punching this stupid little doll that kept telling me I punched like a grandma when I felt a tap on my shoulder. My sister then pulled me towards her group of friends, where I saw the love of my life. I never knew love at first sight was possible until I saw her. She was vibrant, full of color, and loud. I felt this magnetic pull towards her, something I had never felt before. The Miss Dancy Pants 3000, the newest and best dancing machine in the country. I had seen videos of people trying to beat each other's high scores on the internet, and I'm not gonna lie, I was itching to show her what I could do.
"Come on, none of these losers want to play this with me,"
said Angela, as she clicked the settings for the easiest level. We stood next to each other at the center of neon arrows pointing up, down, left, and right. A funky beat started playing from the machine's speakers, and before I knew it, my feet were moving in tune with the song. It felt like only seconds had passed when the song was over. and I turned to face my sister and her flabbergasted friends. To my surprise, Angela was sweating and out of breath.
Not bad at all, Kara.
One of my sister's friends said to me.
Who dares challenge the queen?
Asked my sister to her friends. One by one, they got on the machine next to me and rivaled me in the game that I felt was my destiny to play. By the end of the night, I was talking freely to all of them about all sorts of random stuff. And even when we left the arcade, I felt like I was walking on air.
You did great tonight,
Angela said while we were on our walk home. You think so? I asked. The rush was starting to fade, and I was scared I made a fool of myself in front of her friends. Maybe I had even embarrassed her.
Of course, my friends all had a blast with you.
She smiled. From that day on, Angela started taking me to the arcade all the time. She wasn't very good at the game, so she usually played once with me to get me warmed up, and then got random people to challenge me. I beat every single one. We were about to leave the arcade when she came up with a pretty great idea.
So I was thinking, what if I organize a town event here? We can have people compete in all sorts of games, including your favorite,
she said. I didn't think my smile was capable of growing that big. I could see it already. I would kick everyone's butt at my favorite game without even breaking a sweat. And the people in this town would finally acknowledge me and see me as much more than Angela's weird sister. That'd be fun, I said coolly, trying to play it off as if I wasn't absolutely ecstatic.
Great,
said Angela. We walked up to the manager of the arcade, and before Angela said a single word to her, she pushed me in front and said I had a question. I started panicking a little. I wanted to run away, but Angela squeezed my hand and the manager looked so kind that I managed to blurt it out. I was wondering if we could host something here and have the entire town play games. I said. My face glowed bright red. I was so scared the manager was going to completely reject the idea, but to my surprise, she smiled and said,
That's a great idea. It would definitely bring this place more money.
Angela told me she was proud of me when we walked home. I was too. That was the most I had ever gone out of my comfort zone. Our events became an almost weekly thing. People of all ages in our town loved gathering to compete, and Angela took no credit, even though it was her idea. Now people were congratulating our parents for both of their daughters. Our competitions were such a success that the arcade decided to host an even bigger event. It would be a week of competitions instead of just one day every once in a while, and people from other places were also invited to come compete with us. The first day was great. Out of around 75 people who gave the Miss Dancy Pants 3000 machine a shot, I was at the top of the leaderboard. I was amazing. But the next day, the doors opened and a cold breeze wafted in. A group of teenagers from a rich town a couple miles away walked into the arcade. People from that town had a reputation of being jerks, and they showed everyone who didn't believe it that the reputation they had fitted them like a glove. They started competing, but they were super rude. One of the girls with them pushed someone out of her way and got on my machine next to me.
I'm gonna wipe the floor with you,
she said. But just looking at her high heels, I could tell I had it in the bag. It was only a matter of time before I beat her. It was just another win to me. But she looked more than upset.
I'm gonna beat you, you'll see,
she promised. I was more bold and courageous at this point, so I didn't even think twice before I said, I'd like to see you try. The next day, the same girl came back, but looking smug. She gave me a side glance before picking a song. She picked one of the hardest, but I could do it in my sleep. The catchy music started playing and we started dancing. There was only one problem. My side of the screen was peppered with red X's on a few arrows, even though I was hitting them right on mark. What the hell? I muttered. I could see my feet on the arrows at the exactly right time, but sometimes they didn't light up. Was the machine broken? I stomped harder in panic, which seemed to work, but I had already missed so many points that I wasn't too surprised when the machine said I lost. Not being surprised doesn't mean I wasn't shattered, though. That bright red "you lose" haunted me for days, even after the whole thing was over. When I was leaving the arcade, I heard the girl thanking one of the workers for his help. Help with what? I thought. I waited for her to leave and went up to the guy. Hey, what exactly did you help that girl with? I asked him. He said the girl spent a lot of cash at the place in return for a favor, and the favor was turning down the sensitivity on one side of my machine. I was livid. I didn't have any money to spend on stupid arcade tokens, so how was I going to beat this girl? And when did the world of arcade dancing become so money hungry? I felt defeated that day. I didn't want to be at the arcade anymore, but I also didn't want to go home and be asked how it went. I walked around town in the shadows, looking into stores every once in a while. I went into the old pawn shop because I always thought the lady who owned it looked sweet. I looked through the old cameras, the busted golf clubs, and the hundreds of old magazines, but nothing caught my eye.
I know you. You're that dancing girl from the arcade,
said the old woman with a smile. She motioned for me to follow her as she went through a curtain into the back of the store, what I assumed was an office of sorts. It was dark and dusty there. She took an old box from the top of a bookcase and handed it to me.
My brother made this years ago. Maybe you'll enjoy it,
she said. I tried to give her money, but she said it wasn't for sale, that it was simply a gift. When I was alone in my room, I opened the dusty box. Inside, I found what looked like some handmade chunky sunglasses with a slot in them. There was also a tiny game cartridge that said Dancing Boots on it. I put the game cartridge in the sunglasses, but the thing started throwing sparks. I dropped the thing in a fright and the cartridge fell out. All that was left was the glasses. I tried them on, just out of curiosity, but what I discovered was shocking. They were like VR glasses. I could see this interface like a video game. But that wasn't all. I could see into my closet, and the doors of it were closed. I could also see through my closed bedroom door. When I got closer to the wall, I could even see my sister chilling in her room. The glasses gave me X-ray vision. Oh, the things I could do with them. My mind went wild. The possibilities were endless. However, I had one thing in mind right away. That night, I told my parents I was going for a walk. I walked all the way to the arcade. I had studied this place in the past. I knew that the window high up in the manager's little office didn't close, and that it was big enough for me to wiggle through. Once I was in, I immediately put my VR glasses on. The input of information was almost overwhelming. I could see too much, but in a few minutes I got used to it. I couldn't afford enough tokens to get private favors around here, but I knew they were here somewhere. To my surprise, they were everywhere. There were rolls and rolls of tokens stashed all over the place. Behind machines, inside machines, under the carpet, taped to the bottom of a chair, and in multiple vents. I grabbed a thick roll and stuffed it in my back pocket. I didn't want to get greedy and risk suspicion. The next day, I walked into the arcade with all the confidence in the world. I could see my rival pretending to warm up on my machine, but it didn't make me angry. I was about to make things right. I approached the accomplice of the crime against me and flashed him the roll of tokens. I think this is more than what she bought, I said, with a quick wink at the end. He nodded and smiled knowingly. Then I saw him sneak behind the machine and he gave me a thumbs up when the deal was done.
You ready?
Said my mortal enemy. I went to bed ready, I said. This time I picked the song, the absolutely hardest one. This girl couldn't do well even if the machine wasn't rigged. The best part is that she didn't even notice something was off. She felt so confident that she closed her eyes. I kept mine wide open and enjoyed seeing none of the steps on her side registering. The look on her face when the big "You lose" glowed in front of her was priceless. She was tearing up from anger. She stormed off, pulling all her friends with her out of the arcade. Everyone around me cheered now that the evil had been eradicated. After that, I earned my place at the top of the leaderboard. My prize was to have my picture hung on the wall of fame, a single inch above the picture my sister got for being amazing at, I kid you not, every single other game. Nevertheless, I was insanely proud. Not only was I proud, but I was excited. As I walked home, I thought of all the things I could do with my VR glasses. I was thinking about how I could even run banks when an arm reached out from an alley and pulled me in. It was the pawn shop lady.
I need the VR glasses back,
she said.
You can keep the game, but I need the glasses. Now.
She looked nervous, and she was sweating. I handed the glasses over without question. She mumbled
"Thank you,"
before running down the alley. What just happened registered in my mind, and I realized I wanted the glasses back. I ran after her. The alley led to a dark parking lot. The woman was standing next to a black car with tinted windows. A window rolled down, and she handed the glasses over to someone inside.
"The president thanks you for your cooperation,"
said a voice from inside the car. This spooked me a little. I started walking backwards until I was back on the normal sidewalk. I didn't know what that was, and something told me I didn't want to know. For some reason, I felt that having those glasses would have done me more harm than good.